Hello, Sensei Adam, and any of you who happen to be watching on YouTube. I'm very excited today. I get to actually put on the white belt in Taekwondo that I earned a couple of months ago. So I'm going to put that thing on, and today actually is my Yellow Chevron Nunchaku exam. Nunchaku, aka Nunchucks. So I've been working hard for these last 4 months or so, and I am going to show everyone, most importantly Sensei Adam, to see if I can move on to the next level of my nunchuck training. And I have different nunchucks now because Sensei Adam recommended that I get a pair of lighter ones because it'll hurt less as I'm training and I'll be able to get more speed. These are made of mahogany, I think. I got them from American Nunchaku company, and they shipped them right to me. And they shipped to me in New York, so for those of you who don't know, it's legal now, technically. But I brought them down here to Florida, Miami Beach, where I live. You can see it's really pretty here. I found this cool park. It's been thundering a lot, so it might rain. So I'm going to try to get through this as quickly and efficiently as I can, but staying true to the form. So first is the ready stance. And so as I learned from last time, I want to keep my hands very straight, obviously not these ones. So this is the excuse me, not the ready stance, this is the attention stance. Attention stance from the side. Okay, from the other side. Attention. Okay. Next, moving into the ready stance, and how that works is you're basically taking the left foot and putting it out to the side as you're bringing your hand up and moving one nunchuck into the other. So the way that looks is like this. And technically, I think I should be coming out. I come forward and then out. Forward, out. Forward, out. We'll do those three again. And I'm breathing out as I do this. And so those are the first two. Next is the front stance, and how it's similar to the karate stance is that you're forward, you have your weight on your front foot, and we didn't discuss too much about the hands for what they are for the purposes now, but it's not supposed to be so deep that it's like this, and it's not just kind of like this, it's somewhere in the middle. So here's the left front stance from this side and from this side. And right front stance, again, not too far up, somewhere right in the middle, to the left side, and to the right. So that's the front stance, and notice the weight is mostly on my front leg. Next is the rear, the back stance. And the back stance, it's always based on basically where the foot is, the weight of the foot is. This is the front stance, left front stance, because most of the weight's on my front foot. If I just switch that and bring it back, and now most of the weight is on my back foot. Now this is a back stance. Come a little closer. So this is the back stance this way, and this is a left back stance. Over here, a left back stance. And from this direction, a left back stance. And we'll switch, we'll do the right back stance. And again, it shouldn't be so deep. It's not Kung Fu, even though I like Kung Fu, but it should just be enough. It's like, I say it's about 60-40. 60-40 and 60-40. So that's the back stance, and then there's finally the horse stance, which everyone in martial arts learns at some point. And it shouldn't be so deep that it's down like this, and it shouldn't be up like this. So it's a little bit. There you go. The horse stance this way, to the side, horse stance, and the horse stance. And I think I could probably bring this down a little bit. So there's a little bit less headroom. Great, so those are the stances. Next up, I have the grips. So with nunchucks, there are 3 grips. There is the high or short grip. Here, it's high because you're high on the nunchuck. So notice you can put your hand here, here, here. They're all different ways of changing the feel of the nunchuck. So this is the high or the short one. it keeps the nunchuck very close to the body. Then there's the middle, okay, and it's also known as the medium, the middle or medium, which is right here, and that extends the nunchuck a little bit farther out. And then there's the low or long position, which is way down here. And as you can see, now the nunchuck has a lot of reach. It's also a little bit awkward, honestly. I don't like this stance as much with the grip, this grip. This grip's a little weird. But those are the three of them. Next, moving up, is the simple up. So now I have to do, oh, by the way, I'm supposed to do the grips, I think, from the different sides too. So let me just show you what those are. Again, here's the high grip. High. I feel like my knuckles can more easily get hit from here. Then we switch to the medium grip, and then switch to the low or long grip. Hey, I got a little, come here.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Thanks, random guy. This is why you do in the park, you get some fans. Thank you. And then from this side, again, the high grip right here. Move it down, middle grip or medium grip, and then the low or long grip. Cool. I'll give you my YouTube card. You can come, you can subscribe, and you can see the video on there later. There you go. It's got my, just search for my name on YouTube. This video will be up there in a few weeks. That's me, Monroe Mann. What's your name? Jameson? Hey, Monroe. Nice to meet you. Okay. So those are those grips. Now we're going to start doing the techniques from both sides, both hands, 5 different angles. So the first is the simple up. See, Jameson? The simple up. Simple up is just what it sounds, the simple up. So up, up. And then from this side, up, up. And the idea is that you're catching it here. In some techniques, you don't even have to catch it. In fact, you can actually kind of catch it with your elbow over there. But for now, it's always a catch. Catch. Okay, switch. Let's go to these sides. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's the simple up. The simple down is the opposite. When it's up here, it's coming down, and then you catch it right in the armpit / with your tricep. And so when it comes down, you have to time it to catch it right in there. So we'll do that both sides. Simple down, simple down. Switch to the other side, simple down, simple down. Switch to this side, simple down, simple down. Switch, simple down, simple down. Switch to this side, front up, simple down, whoop, simple down. And you notice, as Sensei Adam, you've told me to keep my hand in front here because it could potentially hit. And it was a hard thing to always learn to keep this other hand up, but I'm getting a little bit better at that. Simple down and simple down. Come over to here, simple down, simple down. Simple down, simple down. Come back over here, simple down, simple down, simple down, and simple down. Next up is the side swing. And so the side swing is basically the simple down with a swing, swing in it. So coming over, around, and tucking it right in. So I'll do that from 5 different angles. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Seems like it's gonna rain real soon. I'm really hoping not. 2, 1, 2. Okay. It's getting windy. Maybe I am summoning the ancient martial arts powers from China and Japan with every side swing that I do. I don't know. Maybe it's just a storm. That's the side swing. Next is a front switch, which you've already seen me do. It's the switch from side to side. So, whoop, one. Tuck back in my knee here. Now I'll do this from a different side. Really looking bad. Really looking bad. Front switch. 2 times. Front switch. Front switch. Front switch. Front switch. Okay, next is the inward figure 8. Okay. So the inward figure 8 is basically just going like this. Inward figure 8. It's going inward because you're going inward, inward. It starts coming inward. I'll show that from the different sides. Inward figure 8. Inward figure 8. Inward figure 8. Inward figure 8. And inward figure 8. And I'll do it with the left hand time too. Inward figure 8. Inward figure 8. Inward figure 8. Inward figure 8. And one more time. Inward figure 8. Okay, and that's followed up just right by the actual, the inward figure 8 block. Oh, was that? Wondering if I mixed those up, Sensei. Maybe it was at the outward. I was that if we do the, we can do the. Maybe this is the outward one. This is the outward figure 8 strike. 1, 2, 3. We do it twice. So 1, 2. I think that's correct. This is so the outward figure 8. Because this is you're all right. I have to backtrack a little bit because I made a little bit of a mistake there. The inward figure 8 is starting over here, like this. It's that the inward motion. And so if we do the inward figure 8 block, it's going to be like this. And this is the outward. I'll tell you much, I'm trying to figure out exactly why this is inward and outward. They go different directions. Oh, I got it. This is coming inward toward me. That's it. Inward towards me. Okay, and this is going outward, outward, out, 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 away from me. And this is coming up, up. So it's basically where it's going towards your face. And I just hit my knuckles. So, the inward figure 8, what I just did before was the outward figure 8. What I went this, outward figure 8. And I'll just continue with that. So the outward figure 8 strike is two times and back in. 1, 2, back. 1, 2, back. So I'll do that from here. 1, 2, back. 1, 2, back. 1, 2, back. 1, 2, back. When I say back, it goes back in the armpit. Back to the armpit. Ah. Back to the armpit. Back to the armpit. Back to the armpit. Out, out, back to the armpit. Out, out, back to the armpit. Then we switch, do it with the left hand. And the next is the inward figure 8 block. And it's inward, as I just learned, because it's coming up, inward towards me. And Sensei Adam, of course, will correct me if that's not the actual reason why they're called that. But the inward figure 8 block, the strike, if you notice, is 2. 1, 2, back. 1, 2, back. With the figure 8, it can be 4 or 6 because it's a block. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, up, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up. Either is fine. I've been practicing with 4. So I'll do that from 5 different angles. 1, 2, 3, 4 up. Okay? And I can just go back and forth, left and right to save a little bit of time. So then we'll do it from here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inward figure 8 block. Okay. Inward figure 8. Well, if you can hear that, you can hear that thunder. It's looking pretty dark above. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the inward figure 8 block. Moving to the front strike. So the front strike, it starts underneath your armpit here. And you're basically coming out. It rolls across your bicep, comes across and back, and it bounces off here. And you should be aiming for basically the head region. So that's why it's coming up a little bit. And I'm bringing up my arm because otherwise it's going to hit my arm. And I find it's a lot better when it's hitting my body instead. It's also keeping my hand in front of my face. So from 5 different angles. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll switch. Starting from this side. 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 2. Doing it. I have a little bit more difficulty catching it under this left arm sometimes, so I'm still working on that. That is the front strike. Next is the side strike, which is very similar, but it's from up here. And instead of coming up at an angle, it's coming down at an angle. And again, it's coming down in front of the face. And again, this time I want to lift my arm up again, and I'm just bouncing it off my back and side. So the side strike from 5 different angles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then switching to with my left arm. 1, 2. Nope, I should be starting up top. I just did 2 front strikes. I got 2 side strikes. 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Gotta do it again. Come on. Catch it properly. Good. 2. And I'm going to do the other ones again because I think I may have done side strikes. Let me make sure. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay, so now I made sure that I did the five side strikes on 5 different angles. And next is around the neck part 1. So around the neck part 1 is basically bringing it around the neck. So whether it's coming from a side strike down here or it's starting to rain. So if this ends up being 2 videos spliced together, that's why. Side strike down, around the back, and then it comes up, catch it around the neck, and here. You can also do it from your front strike. 1, round, comes right up. And the trick is when it's coming up, to either make it come up at an angle like this, so it's basically going up like that, going up at this angle, or coming straight across like this, and then you can catch it. And if it's off even a little bit, you'll hit your scapula, shoulder blade, maybe your head. So you got to be careful. So I'm going to do these real quick. So 1, around the neck, do it again. neck, and from the other side. 1, 2, around the neck, around, moving over here, and I'll do it from the side strike position, front strike position. 1. Now it's from the side strike position, front strike position. Side strike position, front strike position. Switch the arms, side strike, and front strike. Side strike, front strike. Switch, side strike, and front strike. Switch, side strike, front strike. Side strike, front strike. So that's around the neck, part 1. Now we need to do the combinations. So the first one is combo 1, which is the outward figure 8 strike, which is this one, outward figure 8 strike. Then the inward figure 8 block, and finally the simple up and a front switch. So I'll do that from 5 different angles. I'll do it first here so you can see it. So outward figure 8 strike, inward figure 8 block, and then we do the front switch and the simple up. And we switch. Do the same thing, out, and we switch. So let's do that from 5 different angles. I got a lot of fans. I got someone else recording over here. That's nice. Okay, so 1, 2, 1. Whoop. You easily hit your head. That thing almost got my head. Try that again. There we go. Okay. Switch. And sometimes it's tough to catch, but you said, Sensei Adam, that happens to even you. So it makes me feel a little bit better when I don't get it right. And again. Okay, forward. Again. Switch. Okay. Look. Start over. Outward figure 8 strike. Inward figure 8 block. Front switch, simple up. And then do it again. Again. Switch. Left hand is tough. Let's try it again. Okay. Okay. Switch. Switch. It's a little clunkier on the left side. I acknowledge that. I'll be working on that. Next is combo 2, which is the inward figure 8 block. Okay, then outward figure 8 strike, front strike, and then we swap. So let's do that. I'll show you how that looks on the front first. So it starts with this block, then starts with the block, then the strike, and then the front strike. And then we switch and go to the other side. Let's try it out. So 1, 2, 3, and out and up. Up, strike, front strike. Nope. Yeah, onto that, and then it's difficult. Even in the videos, you said that it's going to be difficult to remember to don't do the switch. So there we go. That. And then we do this. We come over here. So 1. Out. Strike, front strike. Simple up and inward figure 8 block, strike, front strike. Okay, switch. I'll admit my knuckles are getting rattled here. And my horse stance, I don't know if I should be down here or if I should be more like this. I think you kind of said it doesn't really matter. But I'd love some clarification if I'm supposed to be switching my stance like that with each one. So now I'm switching the stance. I don't know if that's more appropriate. Too many right there. Try that again. Oh, so come over here. Outward figure 8. Outward strike. Front strike. That's 4. Switch. Catch that pretty well. A little bit better. Okay. And those are all of those combinations for number 2. Next, now I'm going to stop it just now real quick because I don't want the memory to run out and I lose this entire recording. I'll start right back up. Okay, back again. Looks like there's enough storage, so we'll continue. Combo 3, side strike, around the neck, part 1, and then switch. So that's basically what we did before. So side strike, and then we're going to do the around the neck. So side strike and around the neck. Whoops, up, down, side strike, and then, yeah, side strike, and bring it around the neck, like that. So I'll keep it kind of like a horse stance so I don't have to keep worrying about my feet so much. And make sure we're recording, and we are. Switch, and come down here. 1. Good. Switch. Guess I could do it all on the same side. That'll make it easy and quick. That's 3. Okay. Here, switch. 1, 2, 3. Third angle, first time, second time. Okay, nope, same angle. And same angle. Switch to this side. Remember, I need to go up to the head. Sometimes I forget that I'm hitting the person's head, not the side. 1. Sometimes I forget that I'm not supposed to hit myself either. 1. Okay. 2. Okay, switch over here. 1, 2. Switch. 1, 2. Great. That's that combo number 3. Combo number 4 is exactly the same thing, except we're also, you know what? I think I completely messed up combo number 3. I was supposed to be a side strike the whole time, so I got to do it all over again. So here we go again. It wasn't supposed to be a front strike, supposed to be a side strike. So, sorry, Sensei Adam, for having you watch this. 1, 2, switch. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, switch over here. 1, 2, 1, 2. Switch. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so that's combo number 3. Combo number 4 combines all of them. It starts with a side strike and then it does the front strike. So I will do that one now. Again, it's side strike. You do the around the neck, come back into the front strike position, and then you do around the neck. Again, that's combo number 4. So let's try that. Side strike, front strike. Side strike, front strike. Switch. Side strike, front strike. Side strike, front strike. It's a lot of work, Sensei Adam. Woo, no pain, no gain. It's also, I think, 90 degrees out here in Miami Beach. So that makes it a little bit more exciting. Front strike. Side strike. I messed that up, sorry. Side strike. Front strike. Side strike. Front strike. Switch. Side strike. Front strike. Side strike. Front strike. Side strike. Whoop, messed that up. Side strike. Front strike. Side strike. Front strike. Switch. A little bit exhausting. Side strike. Front strike. Side strike. Front strike. Switch. Side strike. Front strike. Side strike. Front strike. Switch. Side strike. Front strike. Side strike. Front strike. Front strike. Up, switch, side strike, front strike, front strike. Let's try that again. Side strike. Oh, I'm just getting tired. Side strike, front strike. Side strike, front strike. Whew. Okay, that's combination number 4. Then combo number 5 is the outward figure 8 strike, the front strike, this simple up, front switch, side strike around the neck, simple up. So easier done than said, I think. How that works is outward figure eight strike, front strike, simple up, front switch, and then I think then it was at the side. Yeah, then the side strike, and then around the neck, part one, simple up. And then we'd start all over again. So. On the other side. Outward figure eight, front strike, simple up, front switch, side strike, and around the neck. Simple. Again. Front strike, up, side strike. Okay, next, this angle. Okay, that's one, and again. One. Up. Front strike. Simple up, front switch, side strike, around the neck. Simple up. That's two. Let's go again. Still recording. Looks good. Whoop. Front strike. Again. Okay, I think that was all of those. On this angle. More. Trying to go faster to avoid the rain. It's already drizzling on me. I want to get to the Blitz kata too. I think that was it. I think it was outside. I got to do one more angle. I notice my hand's kind of always like this. Maybe you have some tips on how I can keep it like this. It's kind of annoying me that sometimes it droops or something like that. Okay. Great. That's our combo number 5. Need to do the Blitz kata twice and then the 50 front switches in 1 minute. So let me try if I can do that before this rain comes because it's already raining. Got to start over. Yeah. from another angle. I'll do it facing this way. Start over. Hi-ya. I'm going to do it one more time because I think I flubbed up one or two places, and maybe I can do it from one more angle from over here. The rain's still not totally here yet, so that's good. And finally, the 50 front switches in 1 minute. So thankfully I can do this pretty well. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. Come on. 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. I think that was it. 50. 50 front switches in 1 minute. So, Sensei Adam, hope I did all right. If I need to improve, you let me know what sections I need to do again. I've been having a really great time. It's a lifelong dream to finally be able to use nunchucks. The fact that I had this little boy come up to me right now and he was giving me thumbs up, and there was a guy over there on the bench and his girlfriend taking pictures or whatnot. I must be getting on the right track, and I'm really excited, really thrilled, hoping I made it to the yellow chevron. For those of you watching again, remember I'm a white belt now in Taekwondo, and what I'm hoping to do is get, I forget if it's the left or right, but if it's on the right, I'm hoping to get a yellow chevron right here for nunchucks once I pass this test, assuming I meet all the requirements. And then the next test that you'll probably see for me doing is the yellow belt test for Taekwondo, which I hope to be doing in the next couple of months. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Sensei Adam, for your time. If you happen to be watching on YouTube and like this, please click like, please subscribe, share, leave a comment, and stick around, because right after this, you'll see Sensei Adam's critique of what I did well, what I need to improve on, and I hope you'll see me continue and go all the way up to black belt with Taekwondo, black chevron with Nunchaku, and black belt in Krav Maga, which I'm also studying at Global Martial Arts University. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Sensei Adam, and looking forward to your feedback. Bye, and I will bow out. Ba-boom.
Hey Monroe, how's it going? So, just went over your yellow chevron exam. You did a really good job. I actually don't have a whole lot of corrections for you. Just a few little details, but for the most part you did a really good job, and I don't have too much to to give you as far as feedback goes. All right, so we're going to start off with stances. Your stances are all looking really good. The one that I want you to change a little bit is going to be your back stance. And now, usually whenever people are testing through the Nunchaku course, I don't really hit their stances too much because I allow them to use whatever stances they learned from their previous martial arts experience. But because you're going through the Taekwondo course, I want your stances to match up with the Taekwondo stances. So the main one I'm going to talk about is going to be your back stance. So when you showed me your back stance, and you showed it from this side view, I noticed that this back knee was angled inwards or slightly forwards. You can see like that. This back knee should actually be angled slightly outwards. So your toes are going to be at 90 degrees. And as you bend your knees, if you were to look straight down, the angle from knee to knee would be about 120 degrees, maybe 110 to 120 degrees, but it is larger than 90 degrees from knee to center point to opposite knee, about 120 degrees. Now my toes are 90 degrees, but the knees are 120 degrees, so it's open out, or not inwards, but slightly outwards as you're set. And you were saying about a 60-40 is a good weight distribution. Sometimes it'll be a little bit more, a little bit less, but it's going to have slightly more weight on the back leg. So from the front angle, it'll look like this instead of slightly inwards. All right, that's really all I have as far as your stances go. So yeah, we're going to move on. Next was grips. You talked about them. You showed a few things from it with the low, middle, and high grip. You said that the low grip or the long grip feels a little weird, especially when doing things like this. It does. That's the long grip is mostly just going to be used for actual sparring or combat techniques. If you're going to be fighting, you want to hold it in a long grip so you have that maximum reach whenever you're whipping these things around. You don't want to be holding it here and not have too much reach. You want to have the longest reach that you can. Middle grip is going to be what you're going to be doing. Most stuff in this course is going to be mostly middle grip. But when you start doing tricks and stuff, and like hand rolls or whatever you want to do with the tosses, now that's going to be done with a high grip. So high grips are mostly for tricks. Middle grip is for most of our actual curriculum material. Forms and stuff are going to be done in a middle grip, and then long grip is going to be done for combat strikes, things like that. Sparring is where you're going to use that. All right, so let's go down the list. We've got simple up, nothing on that, looks good. Simple down. So with your simple down, and this is really going to be for any time you catch it under the armpit. Just simple down is the first time you showed it, so I'm going to talk about it here. I want you to make sure that you're not catching it like this. So you see how this chuck right here is above this, and the cord is that angled. I want you to make sure whenever you're doing this, you always catch it with that 90 degree right there. So this cord should be fully extended, straight with this here. So you don't want to catch it like this. Here, you don't want to catch here, where this one's angled inwards. You want to have this straight up and this one straight out, working on catching it on that 90 degree. Now, it does take a little bit of practice to be able to do this. For you, really the main thing you would need to do is drop this down a little bit. So just extend a little bit more at the elbow, so it's a little bit more down, because you're kind of catching here, where this was higher up and had that slight angle. So just drop that down a little bit more, and you've got it. All right, side swing. Side swing looks good. Same thing. Just make sure you're catching it there. Front switch looked really good. Nothing on that. All right, now I'm going to talk about the figure eights for a second. So you got a little bit confused. You ended up figuring out exactly why they're called inward or outward. I usually demonstrate it from a side view like this, and I talk about the circle. So I'm doing a figure eight, but I can do a circle. So this is a circle. Doesn't look much different when it's from that side view, to be honest. Now, if you look at where I have the chuck, the tip of the chuck that I'm holding, you can see that that there's that board right there, right? That separates my mats from my wall, and I use that to separate this circle. So you can see the whole circle right in the center. So now the top half, where that board is, I only look at the top half. Now, if it's coming towards me for that top half, then it's inwards. So this would be an inward because the top half is coming towards me. Now, if I go here, and now the top half is going away from me, that's going to be an outwards. But, you know, you can think of it the same way that you're talking. Inward, towards you, outwards, away from you. If you're able to catch it underneath your arm, then it's always outwards. If you're able to bring it up over your shoulder, then that's inwards. All right, so enough on that. You got it down, and you're doing it good. You had it nice, and you kept them nice and tight instead of having it really open and wide, so that's good as well. That's more just an aesthetic thing that we use in our course. Doesn't overly matter if you're actually doing this. It's just kind of what we do. It makes it faster, which makes the forms typically look nicer whenever you're doing it that way. Alright, next thing that we've got. Alright, so now for all of your figure eights, and I noticed this on your front strike and quite a bit, a lot of the stuff, you're putting your thumb here on the spine of the chucks. So I want you to make sure that you're bringing your thumb over and just closing that loop. Now this is, it doesn't really matter too much on things like this where I'm doing these figure eights. And this is where most people want to do it. It doesn't really matter too much on that. But now, if I was to strike something, say I do a backhand strike and my thumb is here, I have this gap. And that gap is going to end up pulling it out of my hand, and I'm going to end up losing it, and that's not something you want to do. So you want to try to always just keep that thumb across, even when you're doing these figure eights. It doesn't give you too much more control, maybe on the outwards a little bit more control, but you should be able to do it pretty easily with that thumb across, and it shouldn't really make much difference at all. So I want you to kind of practice that so that you just get in that habit of always having that closed loop around the chucks as opposed to having that open gap where it could pop out. Alright, next we've got front strike. Alright, so with your front strike, I want you to reach more and I want you to turn your hips. So reach more is going to be this. So instead of having this bend in the elbow, or real good bend in the elbow and not fully extended out at the shoulder, and it kind of keeps it in close, I want you to reach. And then I want you to add a hip turn. So if you notice, my belt is going to angle to the side as I do this front strike here. So that's just going to allow me to add power behind it as opposed to only really using my chest muscle to bring it across and a little bit of shoulder there. I want to use my hips to drive it across as opposed to just kind of pull it across with the chest. Yeah, so turn the hips and reach, front strike. Next thing is going to be your side strike. So on your side strike, same things, turn the hips and reach. And then I want you to also focus on not having this angle. So I don't want it to go shoulder to hip or shoulder to rib. So you see how there's still that angle there? What I want you to do is when it's up here, I want you to drop this elbow down. Now the hand is able to go in this completely horizontal motion. I'm just kind of raising this up out of the way. But the hand can go in that horizontal motion whenever I'm doing it. Even if the chuck has a slight arc to it because I'm going to be aiming higher than what my hand is at, and the level my hand's at, it moves in a much more horizontal fashion as opposed to this diagonal fashion. So I don't want this diagonal movement. I want horizontal with that side strike. All right? Yeah. Next, we have the around the neck part 1. I don't really have anything on that other than the same thing I just said on the side strike. Make sure it's not going down. You did even more on the around the necks because it's easier to catch when you have your hand down lower as opposed to up here. So it makes sense that you want to drop it down even more. Just try to keep that same thing going in that horizontal pattern instead of a diagonal. And then, yeah, the around the neck's looking good. You made a good job of catching with the correct hand on top. Sometimes people get confused with that. All right, next thing we've got, this isn't the order that you went in. I'm going to do Blitz Kata just because it's the way my paper is written, and if I don't, I'm going to end up forgetting. So, for Blitz Kata, I want you to try to take out the pauses in the form. So there are quite a few times that you just kind of had these momentary delays, and I think that just comes with, you know, the more you practice, the more you don't have those delays. So let me kind of show you. Blitz Kata, right? So I'm here, turn. So I want you to try to keep a nice flow whenever you're doing it. There's not really any sort of time where I'm pausing and just kind of stopping. Something should always really be moving whenever I'm doing this. I try to time it so my hands and feet are always working at the exact same time. Again, not really pausing. I'll have a slight catch, but notice I'm going to be moving something at all times whenever I'm doing this. So keep that in mind whenever you're doing it. Something's always moving. You're not going to be... So we don't have those time delays. Now Taekwondo has those time delays whenever you're doing the forms in Taekwondo. So keep that in mind. With nunchucks, we don't have time delays. Taekwondo, we do have the time delays. So just kind of keep that in your mind whenever you're practicing. All right, next thing I've got on here is on that very first side strike. So that very first one, you start off here, pull it out. I want you to turn your hips with that. So if you're wearing the belt, the knot in your belt should go from 12 o'clock to whatever o'clock this is. 10 o'clock, I think. Yeah, about 10 o'clock. So 9 o'clock, 10. So between 10 and 11, have that belt turn there to get that power behind it, and then go right along with it. All right. And then, oh yeah, going back to the pauses, I noticed one of the main pauses that you had was after that side strike. Boom, you would turn, and you would pause here for a bit, and then go here, pause here for a bit. So just in that opening sequence, there is quite a bit of pauses. So make sure that you do practice that. Just kind of that motion here, raise up, boom, and turn. So it'll be the same thing. This footwork it'll be there for in the next chevron level, so you can practice it even more to get a little bit more fluid with it. But just as you come here, just being able to practice doing that really fluidly. All right. Next thing I've got is I want you to have a faster ending. So I want the speed to be relatively consistent throughout the entire form, but that last combination, I want it to be as fast as you can. So think of it as your last chance to impress the judges. So you really want to have it as fast, as controlled. If you want, you can even add an extra ki in there. You want that to be powerful, and you want it to be fast to impress whoever's watching it at the very end. It's that, what's the concept called? You probably know what I'm talking about, where people remember the beginning and the end of anything. So the beginning and the end of class, they're the main things people remember. They don't remember the in-between as much. So it's kind of the same thing with forms. People remember beginning, so have a nice strong opening, and then they remember the end. So those are the two parts that should be the absolute nicest, and I want you to be the fastest at that last combination. That last combination is, of course, combination number 5. So I'll talk a little bit more on that in a second, though. All right, and then one last thing was on your side sequences. You did this when you showed facing towards the front, but you didn't do this when you demonstrated from the side, so it might have just slipped in there. I don't know how consistent this is for you, but I just want to kind of talk about it anyways. So when we're doing the side sequence, right, so I just did the opening sequence. I'm here, and now I'm going to come up, off to the side, hour figure 8, front strike, up, and now switch. And now what I noticed that you're doing is you took a step, and then you turned, and maybe you're just trying to stay in frame of the camera. That could have been it too. But you did a step and then a turn. You're already in this here. All you have to do is slide this back foot across and turn with that front strike. So try not to take the step and then turn, just turn on that side sequence. And that's really it. That's all I've got for Blitz Kata. You did a really good job. You had all the techniques. You had them all in the correct spot. You did a good job as well of syncing up your hands and your feet. So it was all looking really good. Biggest thing really is those pauses. I want you to just kind of get a little bit more fluidity with it, and that just comes with more practice. All right, next we have combinations. Combination number 1. Most of these combinations I really don't have much for you. I'm just going to talk a little bit about some stuff, but combination number 1, I just put on here that I want you to work your left hand a little bit more, because I noticed whenever you're getting a little bit wild as you're going lazier, or not later in the video, is getting a little bit more wild on your left hand. Your right hand was nice and tight, but your left hand kind of started loosening up, especially when it went for that the outward part of the inward figure 8. So inward figure 8, and we've got the outside circles and the inside circles, right? So on that outside circle, it was getting a little bit more wild. So I just want you to practice that left hand a little bit more for that same combination practicing. And you can just practice that one part. So you can practice outward figure 8, inward figure 8, outward figure 8, inward figure 8, outward, inward, and just kind of go back and forth with that. All right, number 2. So this one, combination's good. You actually had asked a question, so I'm just going to kind of talk about that. So you had asked about switching your stance whenever you're doing this. Now, you're not required to switch your stance, but it is a very good thing to do. And as you progress in the course, you're going to hear me talk a whole lot about moving your feet a lot. So I'm going to talk a bunch about how your hands and feet really need to be disconnected, right? So they're connected, because like I want to turn my hips whenever I have a power or strike, but they should be disconnected in the sense that my hands can do whatever they want to do, and my feet can do whatever they want to do. So I can move around, I can change my stances, I can practice footwork patterns as I'm doing stuff with my hands. Now that should be the idea goal, is that you can practice moving your legs completely dissociated from what your hands are doing. So that's one of the beginning ways to do it, is to practice little combinations like this. You know, you have the inward figure eight, outward figure eight, front strike, and then as you raise it up, you can switch. And I find it's easier too, anyways, because I always like to have the foot and the hand that's working in the front, right? So if I was here, I like to do things like that. So I like to do it. I do it a lot of times subconsciously. You might see me doing it and not even talk about it, because I just kind of do that sort of a thing. It's a very good habit to do. Start doing it now, and it just makes everything later on a lot easier. So good job on that. Okay, what we got now? We got number 3. All right, so number 3, you did all of them with the front strike, and then you realized it was the side strike. So I have it on here that you did realize that was the mistake. And then you also did this one 2 times on each hand before switching. So you would do, drop it down. So you would go here with it around the neck part 1, catch it, and then go here with it around the neck part 1 on the same side. So this one's actually just going to be 1, up, switch, other side. So I want you to practice it with that up and that switch. It's just so it's more even. A lot of these combinations, most of the combinations are going to immediately repeat on the opposite hand. And the reason that I have them immediately repeat on the opposite hand is because if most people are like me, and they're going to do the side that they're really good at, and they're going to do that one a whole lot, and then they're going to neglect the other side. So I've had the combination so that they automatically repeat, so you get the same work on each hand whenever you're practicing combinations. That's the whole purpose of that. Later on, there'll be some combinations that don't, especially the ones with tricks. The ones with tricks don't really repeat. But all of the basic combinations are all going to end up repeating, so make sure you're doing basically 1 and 1 on it, so that you're getting that equal training on each hand. All right, the other ones, number 4, I don't really have anything on it. You're doing good. It's basically the same thing, except you're doing it with the front strike right after. And that one's basically just trying to trick your mind. You're used to doing a side strike, and then you got to do a front strike, and then you kind of have to remember which one is which. So it's more for segregating in your mind what you're going to do next, rather than actually being any more difficult than anything. And then combination number 5. Combination number 5, I started calling the Blitz Combo. This is the last or half of the combination, one side, is the ending of Blitz Kata, right? So you'll actually notice in the course, the first 4 chevron levels, combination number 5 is the last combination of that level's form. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're practicing. Combination number 5, combination number 5s, for those are going to be the most important combination out of any of the combinations. So always make sure you are practicing combination number 5, whether it's yellow chevron level, green chevron, blue chevron, brown chevron. For any of those, make sure you practice combination number 5 the most, because that is what has to be the fastest at the end of the form. All right, and then the last thing was the ability requirements. You had to do 50 front switches within 1 minute, and I timed you at 37 seconds, so no problem there. Plenty of time to spare. Yeah, so you did a really good job. From the time you did your last assignment, you've definitely improved a whole lot. Your chucks look like they're moving a lot easier now as well, so it's looking good. I have no reason to hold you back, and congratulations on your yellow chevron. If you have any questions on anything, as always, just feel free to send me a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Have a great day, Monroe.